John now needs to see if he can find any trace of them living together as a family. First, he searches databases of street directories and parish records of the Holborn area where the Staffords claim to have lived. But he can't find any sign of them, either in 1827, the year of Emma's baptism, or in subsequent decades. So John now turns his attention to Croydon.
I think the thing to do is to start with an index of names in the 1851 census. If we look through for any Staffords, there's one leaps off the page there.
Where? Oh yes, there.
So the only Stafford living in Croydon was an Emma Stafford, aged 23. Is that likely to be the person you're looking for?
That is absolutely got to be her, isn't it?
Okay.
And she's the only one, that's interesting.
She's the only Stafford in Croydon, which is quite interesting. Okay, so we're looking for 309B. Here is 309, page 309. So she must be somewhere on this page. There she is.
There she is, yeah.
Now, she is living at 49 North End, so she's living bang in the middle of Croydon.
Uh-huh.
And it's quite interesting here. She's listed as a teacher, a governess, in fact. She's 23, so it looks to me she's resident at a boarding school. Now, in 1851, we have where people were born. What about Emma? Well, she's from that well-known place, NK. Not known.
Not known, that is
not known.
Key.
She
That's
did not
key.
know where she was born.
That is the first time that things are beginning to look as though the family story might have a proper basis.
We can also check the same address for 1841, 10 years earlier. I'm afraid it is a case of just looking through. For number 49, North End. Hold on, what's this?
I don't know.
This looks to me like a girls' school. Emma Stafford.
Emma Stafford there. 14.
14. That would be right. And she's a scholar?
She's a scholar. She was put there.
Amongst...
She was put in there. She did well there. She became a teacher there.
Yes.
The school sort of says it all in a sense, doesn't it? I mean, the school is her residence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's interesting. Mm-hmm. And which makes the whole idea of her having a parental basis pretty far off somehow.
Emma Stafford didn't know where she was born. She was placed in a fee-paying school that would have required a private income. She appeared to live on her own, both as a schoolgirl, then later as a governess in the same establishment. John is anxious to see if he can find out any more information about Emma and her school.
Now, we've got here a map, Ordnance Survey map, showing Croydon in the early 1860s. Now, looking down North End, on the west side, we can see number 49, Miss Thompson's Establishment for Young Ladies.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's what it's called.
It is next to Handcross Alley. Now, this little alleyway here is Handcross Alley, meaning that the first large house that we come to on the west side of North End there is number 49.
Oh, I see.
And that is Miss Thompson's Establishment for Young Ladies. Right. And we're very pleased to have found a picture of the building. And that is the building that Emma would have lived in.
That's fantastic.
Armed with the address on Croydon's North End and a photograph of what the building looked like at the turn of the century, John wants to see if he can find his great-grandmother's old school.
Well, this is very easy to identify because you look up there, you've got the chimneys, without the chimneys on top, they've gone, but it's the same little turret. And right opposite here is the building itself is what became the YMCA and what was the Ladies' College. And now it's Anne Summers, so I suppose that's the modern equivalent, really. Yeah, it all figures, really, doesn't it? And having seen the building, I'd say that it was pretty grand. And seeing as she stayed to teach here, she must have enjoyed it. It lifts my heart that she probably had a good childhood. Today is #1 positive day for me. Up until now, it all looked as though it was leading away from the possibility of it all originating from the Marquess of Sligo. But it does look like she was a Ward of Chancery somehow to me. Now, I'm very, very prepared to believe that. We haven't got absolute proof. But hey, an awful lot of coincidences if it's not the case.
Everything John has found out about his great-grandmother in Croydon suggests she could have been the illegitimate daughter of the second Marquess of Sligo. John is more convinced than ever that Emma was a Ward of Chancery. But if she was, the identity of her real parents is likely to remain hidden as effectively now as it was 2 centuries ago. His only chance of proving his link to Irish nobility is to try a different approach.